The wind had a voice in that town. Not a gentle whisper, but a murmuring that seemed to know secrets you weren't ready to hear. It slipped through broken fences, rattled shutters, and curled around the empty streets like it was alive. Some people said the town had been forgotten. Others said it was cursed. Hannah didn't care what they said. All she knew was that tonight, the air felt heavier, the shadows longer, and her steps toward home felt like they were echoing in a place that didn't want to be disturbed. Her shoes crunched over the gravel and dust. Each step seemed louder than it should, each crack in the sidewalk a reminder of how fragile her life had become. Eviction notices, bills she couldn't pay, a brother counting on her like she was a superhero, even though she felt like she could barely hold her own head above water. Her hugged her coat tighter as a sudden chill ran through her. Something about tonight wasn't right. And then she saw him. A man, leaning against a lamppost, hood pulled low over his face. Their eyes met, and Hannah felt her chest tighten. There was something about him, something she didn't understand. Recognition? Fear? She couldn't tell. He smiled faintly, just the corners of his mouth, and then slipped into the shadows like he had never been there at all. Her heart still racing, she hurried home. Ethan was waiting, pale-eyed, clutching a threadbare blanket. "Did you see him?" he whispered. "What man?" Hannah asked, though she already knew. "The one outside. I think he knows something about us," Ethan said, voice trembling. Hannah hugged him tightly. "Whatever's happening, we're not alone," she whispered. Part promise, part prayer. That night, a knock rattled the door. Sharp. Urgent. She froze. Nobody was there. Only the faint smell of smoke and footsteps fading down the hallway. Triple-locked doors and drawn curtains didn't erase the unease. She sat on the floor with Ethan, feeling the weight of the night press down on them. Fear has a way of making a small apartment feel like the world itself is closing in. The next morning, she wandered the streets, hoping sunlight would bring clarity. She passed the old church, the one with peeling paint and a bell that never rang on time. Something drew her in. The door was cracked open. Inside, a handful of elderly women prayed in a circle, their voices rising and falling in harmony. One of them looked straight at her, piercing eyes that felt like they saw every worry she carried. "Come," she said. "If you want God to hear you, come in." Hannah hesitated. She had prayed countless times and felt only silence in response. But she stepped in, and for the first time in weeks, she felt the heaviness lift, if only a little. They prayed over her fears, her exhaustion, her hopelessness. When they finished, the woman handed her an envelope. Inside, a note that read, "Keep moving. He has a plan." Beneath it, a modest sum of cash, enough to breathe, but not enough to fix everything. Later that day, Hannah found herself at the cafe. Mark was there, struggling with a crying baby and a phone call that sounded impossible to handle. Without thinking, she offered to hold the child. The moment the baby rested in her arms, it quieted. Relief washed over Mark like a tidal wave. "Thank you," he said. "You're amazing. Do you do administrative work?" "Yes, a lot of it. I'm between jobs right now," Hannah admitted. "I could use someone like you. My assistant quit. I need someone who can manage chaos and emergencies." A job offer, perfect timing, too perfect. But suspense tightened its grip that very night. The apartment was broken into. Drawers open, small savings gone, belongings scattered. Panic rose like a storm in her chest as she pulled Ethan close. And then she noticed a note tucked beneath a chair. "Do not fear. Trust." No signature. Anonymous, mysterious, comforting. Days passed and strange things began to happen. Groceries left anonymously at their door, letters of support from distant relatives. Each act of kindness arrived just when despair threatened to drown them. Hannah realized she was not alone. God was moving, subtly, invisibly, through the people around her, through timing too precise to be a coincidence. Work brought tension. Deadlines loomed. One small mistake could cost her everything. She faltered, nearly losing hope. But each time she prayed, a sense of clarity returned. God's intervention wasn't always spectacular. Sometimes it was quiet. The right words, the right actions, the perfect timing. Then came the night that tested her faith completely. Hannah and Ethan were walking home late when the streets were unusually dark. From an alley, a figure emerged, the hooded man again. Her chest tightened. Ethan clutched her hand. "You are being watched," he said. Calm, deliberate. Then he vanished, leaving only the echo of his words and a chill that ran down her spine. Was it a warning? A guardian? A hallucination brought on by exhaustion? She didn't know. She only knew that God was nudging the story in a direction she could not yet see. Weeks passed, and slowly, the pieces began to fall into place. A local charity offered temporary housing. Furniture arrived mysteriously. Mark confirmed his job officially, with pay beyond anything she expected. Ethan joined a youth program that opened his eyes to a world he never knew existed. Each step felt like a small miracle. Not instantaneous, not guaranteed, but persistent, reliable, undeniable. And just when despair pressed hardest, God intervened. One evening, Hannah sat on the couch, Ethan asleep beside her. She whispered, "I don't understand how you do it, God, but thank you. Thank you for stepping in." The wind swirled outside, not fear, but life, energy, hope. Hannah smiled softly. Life would still challenge her, storms would still come, but she had learned something invaluable. When God steps in, the story shifts, and in their lives, everything had shifted. Hannah looked out at the quiet town, shadows now softened by the glow of distant streetlights. She knew the future would still test her, still surprise her, but she was never alone. Not really. And for the first time in a long time, she felt a peace that nothing could take away. When God steps in, the story shifts, and sometimes that shift comes quietly, subtly, through strangers, through timing, through what seems impossible. For Hannah and Ethan, that shift had changed everything. If this story spoke to you, leave a comment and share how God has shifted your own story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that will touch your heart and strengthen your faith. Remember, your breakthrough could be just around the corner, and sometimes all it takes is trusting Him when the world feels like it's falling apart.